UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak plans to weaken some of the key targets in the country's efforts to slow climate change. Now, one appears to be delaying a ban on the sale of new gas and diesel-only cars to 2035. Now, the previous deadline was 2030. So can you tell us what this means for us? I mean, obviously, these were some non-binding agreements that they made, but then to see the UK pulling back on this, what reaction should we have to it?
It's really disturbing. It was only 3 years ago that the UK held one of the top climate summits in Glasgow, and former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, a conservative, made all of these commitments. Now his successor, Rishi Sunak, is turning against them, and it's really all political. Conservatives, the Tories are falling in the polls. It's looking like Labour may be competitive in the election at the end of next year. And so they're trying to think of strategies that can help. One of those strategies is to lower energy costs, right? And energy costs have been leaping across Europe and the UK since Russia invaded Ukraine last year. So he's going to go back on their green pledges. It started in July when he allowed oil drilling to resume in the North Sea. And now we're seeing this week he's essentially not scrapping them, but just pushing them all back. Which obviously from an environmental standpoint, an academic climate standpoint, is a disaster. We're already way behind in trying to meet our climate goals to keep temperatures from getting too high. It's been the worst year ever for climate disasters. So to see a politician, a leader of a country like the UK, actually make a political move like this solely for ratings and votes and against kind of the better interest of the world, it's incredibly disturbing and very ominous for our own U.S. election. I think next year the Republicans will be watching this closely because reducing energy costs is a very populist measure, and some voters are going to like it, and so it will work in some cases. So it's one of the reasons I think we'll see climate begin to rise to a level of priority in the U.S. election that we haven't seen in past ones.
And David, in terms of how corporate America is prioritizing its efforts with climate and how it's really factoring into the bottom lines, as you do see these more extreme weather events, are we finally at a tipping point where it is being prioritized, or is that can still being kicked down the road?
It's really a good point. The politicians are playing games with climate change. Most of the corporations are not. Obviously, you've got your oil and gas interests who are in favor of kicking the can down the road. But most of the corporations, the Fortune 500, for example, are moving ahead with climate policies. Climate risk is risk. It's business risk. And CEOs understand that. Investors understand that. Analysts understand that. These businesses have to hedge against climate disasters that can affect any part of their business, from agriculture to insurance, to hospitality, as we've seen, to transportation. So corporates, despite what's happening in politics and how troubling it is, the corporates are moving forward with so-called ESG strategies, no matter how unpopular the moniker has become.
And as you mentioned there, it's still risk at the end of the day, which is something businesses can't ignore. So appreciate you so much, David Callaway, Callaway Climate Insights founder and editor-in-chief. Thank you so much.
Thank you.